Coming. You know the dates, and if you're someone who's worried conditioning is holding you back, then we have the answer. The Sentinel Training 200 Plus Machine Conditioning Workouts ebook. Take the guesswork out of your conditioning pieces with a one-time payment of $40. That's less than 20 cents per workout. Choose between single implement workouts utilizing a fan bike, rower, ski erg, bike erg, and running, or multi-implement mixed machine workouts. You can't put a price on fitness, but we can put a price on improving yours. The Sentinel Training 200 Plus Machine Conditioning Workouts ebook. Upgrade your engine now at trainsentinel.com.
The Open's already here, but you can still improve your engine and you can still improve your conditioning. Sentinel's the place to go if you want to do that. All right, we've got, you can scan the QR code in the top right if you want to join Sentinel. You get a 14-day free trial. If you don't like Sentinel, you can go to wepreferthehate.com. He spelt it all out because he missed the boat on purchasing WPDH. Which is just hilarious to me. It's like, I'll do it after I launch. So we've got JR Howell, CrossFit Crash, We Prefer the Hate, and we've got Jonny Davies, 179 CrossFit, or CrossFit 179. We're going to dive into programming, and we're going to dive into, I put up a question box there. Yeah, I've got some interesting questions, and I have some of my own as well. First off, where is this going to go now? There we go. Jonny, you had a call with these guys, didn't you? Anya?
Yeah, I did after I spoke to you, what was it, last week?
Yeah. It's pretty cool setup, isn't it?
Yeah. It's very good. I've been looking for something like that for doing it.
It's good. They have all the different products and they're all just blank canvases basically. And then you send them your logos and where you want it. That was actually the thing that I thought when I was doing that initially. He was explaining to me how it works and I was like, this is going to be a shit show. Like, how can he get the positioning, everything right? You send it to him, he sends back some images. That's my store. But he sends back some images and then you can say, nah, that's too big, make it smaller, or no, that's too small, make it bigger, or move it more left, move it more right. But it's really pain-free. I expected that to be an absolute fucking nightmare, to be honest. But it was really quick, really simple, which I was pretty impressed by, to be honest. So you're getting samples for your gym?
Yeah. A couple of t-shirts, a couple of hoodies. And then nice. We'll put them on display in the gym and then go from there.
Nice. It's a lot easier, I think, than ordering shit in bulk. But that's just stress. This is the stuff. This is like the hoodie. Nice. Got a drawstring, JR. You like them, don't you? Did you notice that hoodie that we got at Wadapalooza didn't have? Fuck me, I hate that hood. It doesn't have... No, it's like flopping around. There's no structure to it.
I may or may not have just taken it off.
I like the hoodie, but I don't like the hood. It just flops around. There's no structure, no nothing. It's Paper Street, Herd Athletics.
Paper Street.
But yeah, I don't know. I just don't like that. All right. You can scan the QR code in the top left if you want to have a look at Anya's stuff. You don't even have to be an affiliate. I mean, it probably helps if you are. You're probably the main customer base, but he's any kind of small business. UK, Ireland, Europe, and I'm pretty sure Australia. So if you're any of those locations, he's hoping to spread wider. Get out. Whoever that was, don't let them back in. We're going to talk about programming. I wanted to ask first, Jonny, you obviously you do the level 1, you do the level 2, and you've coached for a long time. From doing those seminars and from speaking to coaches and owners, and then some members who are doing the level 1 maybe, or maybe just tipping their toe on the level 2, what do you think are the biggest misconceptions around programming in affiliates? Like, what do you think are the big things where you're like, why does everybody think that?
I think there's a few. I think a lot of gyms just over-program stuff. Just put like way too much in the 60-minute class. I think the reason for that is that I think they think they're trying to program for a certain person. I think you get gyms that are like they're the competitive gyms, and then they want to do more competitive programming. And then I think on the flip side of that, you have the almost anti-competitive gyms that don't maybe put enough in the workouts, or the workouts aren't hard enough because they're trying to please everybody. And you end up in this weird sort of middle ground. So I think people need to identify what they want to do, or what they want to get out of their program, and then go with that. But you don't need to just program for competitive athletes. You don't just need to be the gym that hates competitions and doesn't want to do competitions. You can be both. You can have people in the class that want to do competitions with the people that just want to train 3 to 5 times a week, with the people that train twice a week, once a week. But you just got to have a plan built up on what you're trying to do. And I think just gyms end up in like a weird space of either ends of the spectrum. If that makes sense.
Yeah, so like CrossFit. So CrossFit initially was like .com. It was like the .com workout, and most people are doing it at home or at a park or whatever. And the programming was done. I think it's safe to assume this. You guys probably know about it more about it than I do. But the programming was done in such a way that it was done for a person who was following it every day. So that they do the Monday, they do the Tuesday, they do the Wednesday, they wouldn't do anything on the Thursday, they do, and so on. And the fact that they were doing something on a Friday was reflected in what they would have done on the Wednesday, and so on.
Sometimes.
Yeah. But now most people do CrossFit in a gym. Most people, maybe that's not accurate. A lot of people do CrossFit in an affiliate. And a lot of people who do CrossFit in an affiliate might go 3 times a week. Might go, twice a week, 5 times a week, 6 times a week, whatever. JR, when you're programming, do you just use that original CrossFit model of, I'm just going to work on the assumption that everybody that's coming is coming here every day, and I'm not going to pander to, oh, well, if someone didn't do Tuesday, there's no point in them doing, I better change Wednesday, because if they miss Tuesday, Wednesday is kind of stupid.
Yeah, I definitely operate under the assumption that most of my members are going to come week to week consistently. And most of my members, I think of like the 160 that I have, I would say 120 of them are 5+ year members. And they have been used to the same rhythm of the week, where Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday hard, Thursday either rest, or if you insist on coming in a 4th day in a row, or if Thursday is just one of the days you can train, I'll program it in such a way that you get a great workout. But if you're one of those aforementioned that just need to get in and move and sweat, then the 4th day is not going to be something that beats you up going into Friday and Saturday.
And do you do the same when you say the rhythm of the week? Do you ever switch that up? Like, would you ever say, surprise guys, Thursday's a nightmare?
No, I really don't do that very often. Over the course of the 10 years, I've dabbled in a lot of different things. Like, I've done a main site Monday for the month of January before, where every single class picked a random day from 2001 to 2021. And that's the workout that they did. But I quickly found how difficult that would be if someone did Cindy, someone did 1 RM snatch, someone did run a 5K. How can I program the rest of the week around that? So while it maybe is cool on that day at that time, because there's this really like high anxiety surprise feeling, then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, everyone feels differently, and that's not great.
So everybody in one class all picked a different day?
Oh, no, like all 7 classes picked a different day.
Oh, okay.
Because then the 5 a.m. would just be picking the workout for the rest of the thing. I mean, short answer to your question is, it's been that way for so long, just like doing partner workouts on Wednesdays and Saturdays. For some gyms, doing a partner workout is very infrequent, just one, like randomly, because a lot of coaches just hate them. For some reason, the members at Crash really like them. Like yesterday, we had 120 people come through in one day. That's by far the highest of the week other than a Monday. So maybe it was because we did burpees over a box, right? Burpee get overs, and it was kind of weird or whatever. And people like that movement. But I think it's just because I found that people are a lot more willing to push themselves for someone else than they are to push themselves. And if you have the pressure of someone else dictating your rest or telling you to keep going, like for some reason, the environment and the feel of my gym is such that people want to work hard. So it only brings harder work out of people.
Yeah. I mean, as someone who predominantly trains at home, I definitely think you do work harder when there's someone else either standing beside you, waiting for you, watching you, or like just a coach throwing an eye. You're like, oh fuck, I can't slack off. Jonny, when you're programming, then so sometimes CrossFit might be a heavy lift, more like 5x5 back squat. See you tomorrow. Like that would be what the prescription would be for the day or whatever. Is there like do you preface that or preface, if you're JR, that to your members and say, you know, people might leave that thinking like, well, that, I didn't get a sweat on. I don't feel I got anything from that. Like people who are, you know, right, like crazy strong, you know, able to get into that mentality of absolute maxing out for the 5 sets and 5 reps, whatever, and, you know, like nearly passing out, whatever, versus someone who's coming in, maybe they're coming 2 or 3 times a week. They probably would feel a bit shortchanged on how they're going to do that versus somebody else. Like how do you handle those kind of members?
So we generally, for us, similar to JR actually, Thursday for us is always a heavy day. So people have to get stronger. So to get stronger, you have to lift heavy. So the way we program is we'll program something heavy twice in 10 days. So it'll either be like hidden in a little workout where I know the focus of the workout is the heavy clean or the heavy deadlift or whatever, and then we just put it into a workout. Or Thursdays are generally for us where there's no working out, they just lift heavy. And then we usually add in some sort of the shortest workout of the week, which is like a sub 7-minute sprint involving the movements that we've just used in the heavy part. Because if you have people, and every gym has got the people where they see maybe it's 5x5 back squat or just a heavy part, they don't come into the gym. If they don't come into the gym, you can't get them any stronger. So you have to give them enough to get them into the gym. What programming is one of the most important things in an affiliate, because if people look at the workouts and go, well, that looks boring, or I'm not going to get anything out of that, they're not going to come. And if they don't come to the gym, you can't coach them, you can't get them stronger, you can't build anything. So it is one of the most important aspects of running a good affiliate is good programming. So we do it, we'll put something heavy in and then a tiny little sprint at the end, just to tick both boxes for both people. And the people that need to get stronger, we will push them, you know, to put more weight on. And if they're newer, we don't really worry about the weight anyway. We just worry about the technique of it. So as they're more consistent and they're building up the technique, then we'll push the weight a little bit more. And then we let them know that beforehand. But we go heavy, twice every 7 to 10 days. And in there will be a legit heavy day where we're just lifting heavy with plenty of rest and a little sprint. And then another day it'll be built around a workout where the weight's getting heavier per round or whatever. And then I program Monday to Monday. And then in that Monday to Monday week, we have heavy lift, heavy in a workout, and then we just vary it from there. 30 minutes plus will be once to twice in 10 days, less than 20 minutes, 2 movements, 3 movements. And it's structured that way. It's still very varied, like in that structure, if you like. You can vary thousands of different combinations and workouts, but that's how I look at it in a 7 to 10 day window.
So it's kind of like a carrot and stick with people who maybe don't want to do the heavy lifting. You're like showing them the carrot of the workout afterwards and then beating the shit out of them with a stick until the workout starts, basically being like, you're going to take your medicine.
But it's the opposite of that as well. If they come into a CrossFit gym, then they must want to get better at CrossFit. So if they're not coming into certain things, then that's hurting their overall fitness. A bit of education goes a long way on that and why you need to lift heavy. But the opposite of that is true as well. Like if you get the people that love coming to the heavy days, and as soon as you put long workouts in that go over 30 minutes and lots of running and burpees, the same type of people don't turn up to those as well. So it's a little bit of both and trying to figure out who's avoiding what and for what reason and trying to get, everyone in all the time. But ideally, like not everyone's going to want to lift heavy, and short of holding their head under water, like what are you going to do if they don't want to lift heavy and you can't get them in? Then it's very, very difficult to get them stronger. But then also you haven't got to just lift heavy to get stronger.
Jonny, how do you balance giving them what they need versus giving them what they want? So So something for me is really, I guess over the years now, I have these like principles that I have, and I'm not going to waver from them. So I'm very confident in them. And if someone comes to the gym and I tell them and they're like, I didn't really feel like, didn't sound like it's maybe what I would want to do, then that's cool. But early on, you know, I was like, well, I need more members. And if they're saying they don't like something, if I don't change it, are they going to leave? Likewise, if new members come in and they say they like something different, but I know what they need to lift heavy. They need to lift heavy once or twice every, like you said, 10 to 14 days. They need to go long. They need to have something short. And you know all these things, but at the end of the day, they need to come in your doors every single day. So how do you have some things that maybe you're like, oh man, if I knew no one would ever leave, I would definitely do this, but because I know that they could, I'm not going to do it. Like, how do you balance need versus want?
Yeah, there is definitely a balance there. So we know that like we have to do, you know, most of our workouts, if we want to maximize results for people, they probably have to be, you know, less than 20 minutes, 2 or 3 movements. People are going to go heavy twice a week, twice every 10 days. They've got to go longer. We've got to have workouts with 10 movements in, 5 movements in, 3 movements. Sometimes you've got to do burpees that are 10 rounds of 10 reps or 1 round of 100 reps. So I always try and program the workouts where I'm getting out, I know what I'm trying to get out of the workout, and then I write in a way that makes people want to do the workout. Some of the workouts I see, they're way too much down the road of this is what people need, and this is they're going to maximize your fitness, and we're going to do 15, 12, 9, 6 front squat and burpee, and the next day is going to be heavy deadlift, and that's exactly what you need to do. But I'm like, well, after about a week, I'm bored. Like, these workouts are boring me. So there's got to be a bit of a balance between looking at the workout and making it so that like, oh, that's cool. I want to go and try that workout because we're doing burpee over a box for the first time in 2 weeks. So we got heavy sandbags in, and we're doing kettlebell cleans instead of barbell cleans and dumbbell thrusters, and just try and make it make it look like a workout they want to do. And there's always going to be a bit of give and take where people don't want to run 1,000 meters. They don't want to do this. They don't want to do that. But there are things that I won't back down on. So we'll always program heavy stuff, regardless if the same people don't come in every week. We'll always program workouts that are over 30 minutes, 40 minutes, once or twice a week. And I just try and make it so that people look at the workouts and go, that's something I want to do.
Right.
Are you in the coffee shop, Jonny, or where are you?
Yeah, I am, yeah.
Your internet is absolutely cat. Like, the audio is fine, but your video is like Lego.
I'll move. Move.
JR, with programming then, so you know the way sometimes there obviously is like I learned this on my level 2, but there obviously is the need for, you know, the different durations of workouts and the, you know, the different kind of doses or whatever. If you're programming something in your gym that is, say, you know, 5 minutes, maybe 6-7 minutes for the slower people, but like that kind of time frame of like all out sprint, do you do what Jonny's doing and like say put that on a day where you're also going to do some snatching or some back squats or whatever as well? Or do you put that on its own, and then if you do put on its own, how do you fill out the rest of the 60 minutes or whatever around that?
No, it's actually very similar to what Jonny does. And admittedly, those times where I know that the fittest in the gym are going to be able to go 5, regardless of how much me and the coach drill in the desired stimulus at the whiteboard, I know that there are going to be people, because they are capable of that, push to do it as prescribed as much as possible, and are going to be more toward that 7 to 8 minute range. So all out sprint, yes. And I think this kind of maybe gets into my programming philosophy a little bit more. This is where maybe me and Jonny don't become friends, if we ever were friends. I believe that the intensity that matters the most is the intensity that you can repeat. And I'll expound upon that by saying, I think that you cannot trust people with intensity, with true 100% effort. And I'll explain that further. You can't trust them with it because they don't know what it is. So if I tell you, Peter, you're going to do Fran, and it's the first time you've ever done it, And let's just assume that your mechanics and your consistency are already dialed in, and now it's time for you to sprint, right? So I know I don't have to worry about your safety. So you do it. You've never done anything 100% in your life, ever. You've never done a sport to failure. You've never puked doing suicide. You've never done any of that stuff, right? You push yourself and you say, you do it, and you walk around in a circle for a little bit. You're not on the ground. You're breathing heavy. You do it in 5 minutes. And then you say, okay, cool. What are we doing now? Like, that's it, man. That's all. And you're like, well, I feel like I could do more. And you're like, well, you shouldn't really be able to do more. Like, if you truly went as hard as you should go, you shouldn't be able to do anything else. You should probably not want to do anything but sit for the next like 20 or 30 minutes. Maybe go take a nap, because that true max effort, that's what it should do to you. And you shouldn't be able to repeat it. But if I gave you 5 intervals of 2 minutes on, 2 minutes off, and I used the same movements, and maybe I did 3 and 3 back and forth, or 6 thrusts or 6 pull up back and forth, and you rested and you did it again, and you rested and you did it again, you rested and you did it again, and you came within, let's say, 1 round of 3 thrust or 3 pull up every time, I got you to go as hard as you could go. I gave you 1-to-1 work to rest, but you also proved to me that you could repeat that intensity. So I am a little bit more of the motto that if I want people to do something really hard and fast, I want them to do it, rest, do it again, rest, do it again. Not only does it preserve the intensity, and it doesn't give them a point to just tank and start moving poorly, but it also shows me that they know what that feels like and they can continue to do it. And I know I went in a bunch of different directions, but that is something that I feel pretty strongly about. That idea of, if I tell you to do that, Diane, I tell Jonny to do Diane, Jonny understands the task. He's going to do it, and he's going to do it to where he's pushing failure. That takes a lot of time to be able to actually sell out and do that. So where he feels like what he does after 2 minutes and you feel what you feel after 3 or 4 minutes are completely different. And that's where I think you can get into trouble sometimes with those dead sprints.
Yeah. Like, I remember once we did 50 calories per time on the assault bike. And I remember afterwards, like, just not understanding what was happening to my body. Like, I remember at one point I was standing in the middle of the floor, rolling a foam roller up and down my leg while standing upright, like, because I was like, I need to do something, but I don't know what to do. And there was another guy that did it at the same time as me, and he like just like hopped off the bike and was like, woof. I was like, what? Like, it's not woof, it's, oh shit, I'm gonna puke or shit blood, or I don't know what's gonna happen to me. But yeah, it is, and I think it is a learned thing. Like, I mean, I can't remember where we were. Maybe I don't think it was in Miami. It might have been a Crash, and I did a workout with you, and I remember thinking afterwards, like, fuck, I haven't hit that kind of intensity in a while. Where like, it's very easy to kid yourself, and it's very easy to, and that's, I guess that's the job of the programmer and the coach, to be like, you need to go harder, or you need to, or I need to change this workout to suit, because people can really easily tell themselves, oh, I'm definitely going as hard as I can, while lying on the ground at the bottom of a burpee for 3 seconds, or, you know, whatever. Jonny, when you're doing those kind of ones, are those shorter workouts like built into the heavy days, or do you ever just do like, all right, it's a 7-minute workout, we've got 53 minutes to fill around that?
No, so yeah, again, intensity is high intensity. It's not max intensity, and intensity is just power output. It's like, how much work can you do? That doesn't mean max. It doesn't mean like on Monday you're going to go so hard that on Tuesday and Wednesday you can't do anything. It just means get as much work done today in 20 minutes as you can. And, you know, some days will feel good where you can push a little bit harder. Other days will feel bad when you can't push as hard. But those days are still high intensity because you're trying to maximize the work you do in 20 minutes or 30 minutes. Like, heavy days are still high intensity because you're trying to produce as much power as possible in lifting heavy. But it's not max intensity. It's not constantly varied functional mode at max intensity, smash your head against the wall. It's just go reasonably hard. Some people will go harder than others. Some people, you can never get them to going as hard as they can, even within 70% of as hard as they can. But it's high intensity, it's not max intensity. And if you do that 5 times a week, you're good to go. And we don't program just a 7-minute workout. So if we have a short workout that's maybe, you're looking at maybe a gymnastic, 30 muscle-ups for time, we'll put in some skill work before that, where we're working on muscle-ups or pull-ups or dips. If it's like a Gretel, 10 rounds, 3 clean and jerks, 3 bar facing burpees, we'll maybe find a heavy 3 touch and go clean and jerk. Especially around the benchmark workouts, we'll make them maybe a little bit harder. There are people in my gym, like I've been doing CrossFit now since 2013, which, and there's people out there doing it way longer than me. My best Fran time is behind me. You know what I mean? Like, I will never get faster at Fran because, number one, I know how I felt when I finished it. I don't particularly want to feel like that again. And I don't train as much as I used to. So we play around with like just making them a little bit harder for certain people. So sometimes we'll program Diane, or you can do like a heavy, strict Diane. Still the same warm-up for everybody. And the people that are going to the harder version, they've been doing handstand push-ups for 10 years. So they get to go strict or deficit or whatever. So we will, if it's a short sprinty workout, we'll do some skill work or some heavy work beforehand. And then we can always make the workout a touch harder for the people that are, high level quarterfinal, sort of low level semi-final type of an athlete, just to keep things interesting and make things, change things up a little bit. But yeah, if it's less than 10 minutes, we'll generate something.
It kind of brings you on to something someone asked. So this guy's a affiliate owner. Thoughts on programming for the likes of Murph, Chad, etc. Is GPP enough, general physical preparedness, or do you need some SPP? What's that, specific physical preparedness or something?
I guess.
Yeah. And then is it still CrossFit if you start doing SPP for Murph, or for, if you do like a Murph prep or, whatever? Some people kind of do that. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
So we program with every month has got a theme built into it. So if we're doing Murph, for example, I'm not sure when that is, but we might have the theme of the month is Murph. So in that month, we're just doing more pull-ups and push-ups in that month to prepare for Murph. I still 100% believe that if you do CrossFit consistently, you can go out and you could do Murph. You might be sore the next day because you're not used to the volume of the pull-ups and the push-ups and the squats. But the whole point of CrossFit is that you can go and do basically anything else. You could put yourself in any sort of other situation fitness-wise and you'll be fine. Obviously, if you know the test that's coming up and you practice for the test, you'll get a better performance. And because we do program with monthly themes, we will target things in the month and program towards them. Like the Open, for example, when the Open's coming up, we don't do any Open prep, but we start to build in some Open workouts, like old test of Open workouts in the month before. So you can do it. Gyms do it. We do it a little bit. But then I also believe that if you're doing enough variance in your programming, then you could do Murph off the bat. You might be sore, you might rip your hands, but if you do Murph and you haven't done push-ups for a month, or you haven't done 50 push-ups in a row for 6 months, there's probably just like a hole in your programming where you're missing certain pieces.
Do you think that, like, so I'm doing like a half marathon, and I've kind of thought from the start that I probably would have gotten through it with no preparation. Like I would have been in a fucking hole for about a week afterwards, but I would have gotten through it. Whereas I think if I wasn't doing CrossFit, I'd probably make it like 12, maybe 13K and just fall apart and like have to stop. And I was thinking about it today while doing that fucking 12K run that you said, that like CrossFitters essentially can do basically anything because of CrossFit without actually doing the stuff that they're doing. So like, I'd say if you went into an average affiliate and took them out and said, we're going to run a 5K, off you go, they'd all finish it. Times might not be amazing, but they'd all finish it. If you said the same about a 10K, they'd all finish it. Again, times might be, questionable. The day after, they might be a bit like, fuck, my hips are tight. I think the same with a half marathon. I think the same with a marathon. I think the same with like a 400-meter sprint, like all the kind of running stuff, they can just do it. Do you think with that in mind, that if you went into an affiliate and said, right, 9 a.m., just said, okay, we're doing Murph, that they'd all be fine? Or do you think, as in taking into account like scaling options and stuff, or do you think that, like, I kind of feel like you shouldn't need, I understand what Jonny's saying, because you don't want people to be in a pit the next day, but the kind of, and you want people to do well, and you want people to feel they're doing well in the workout and to have a sense of achievement after the workout, and not be like, God, that was fucking horrible, I wish we prepared for that. You kind of want to, help them mentally as well as physically. But that the kind of general physical preparedness that CrossFit gives you is second to none, and that there is almost nothing that you could put on the board that people wouldn't be able to get through.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the reason why we do like a Murph prep for a couple months leading up, where like on Mondays, we just do some sort of press, pull, and squat, or just lower body movement. So like they may come in and do every minute on the minute for 30 minutes, a 200-meter run on the odd minute, and then on the even minute, like one rope climb, 5 dumbbell push press, and 20 prison step ups with just body weight, right? Something like that. So they have that Murph feel and the same movement patterns and going from a run into a pull into a press, but they're not doing air squat, push up, pull up every week leading up to Murph. So they're getting used to the higher volume. They're getting used to the amount of running. But for a lot of people, I don't do a ton of benchmark stuff where we repeat, but inevitably everybody does Murph, and everyone wants to do Murph, and everyone wants to know that they're getting faster at Murph. It's one of those weird workouts where like for me at my point, I know I'm probably not going to beat my fastest ever Murph time, but I'll just go into it being like, okay, I'm doing the pull-up strict, and I want to be able to hold on to sets of 5 the whole time. I don't want to have to go to 3s and 2s. So you have something that you're doing Murph for, other than doing it for, a really cool reason, and people want to push for that reason. But you also have, I feel like, little micro goals every year when you do something like Murph, whether it's, hey, I want to run the first mile with a vest this year and then run the second without. I want to run both miles with the vest and take the vest off for the gymnastics, or whatever. I think it's such a iconic and scalable workout up and down that I think inevitably people want to know that they're ready to do it. And for me, I want people to come in on Tuesday and do the hinging from the floor that they're probably going to do the day after all that squatting. Like, I want people to still train Tuesday and Wednesday. I don't want them to come and do Murph and tell me they need to take a week off. And I just know that those 600 reps with the 2 miles of running, for those that can really, really put out good intensity, it could really mess you up. So that's probably why I take the approach of kind of making them feel a little bit more confident going into it, but also not making it so linear that it's like, okay, this week we're going to do 10 rounds of 5, 10, 15. And the next week we're going to do 12 rounds of 5, 10, 15. Then the next week we're going to do, like, that's a little bit too not constantly varied.
Yeah. Brooke, and we do a monthly challenge and try to base it around coming up events, open Murph, etc. Members can do. Can work through movements in their own time before to help with class. And if members complete the challenge, their name goes into a draw for a gift card. All names at the end of the year are drawn for a $200 Rogue gift card. That's pretty cool. Savannah asked Castro one time about how he plans his personal daily workouts. He said he just does what he feels like in that particular day. That was a very strange answer. I mean, I guess if you've been doing CrossFit long enough, you kind of just like, I feel like he's in a very different position. Like Castro's he's in a very different position than me. Like, who probably needs a prescriptive, like, you need to be following this to make gains and to improve, etc., etc. Whereas, like, Castro could probably go for a marathon hill run and be fine. Like, I mean, there's different kettle of fish.
He also,
if you look at all your,
go ahead, you go.
If you look at the old videos, that's how Fronin would program. That's how Scott Panchik would program. They would wake up and be like, right, what do I feel like doing today? What haven't I done? What do I need to do? And that's the direction I'm going to go. That's probably, rather than sitting down on a Sunday night and planning out a month's worth of programming, not knowing how you're going to feel on Friday, and you've told yourself on Friday, I'm going to do squat snatches heavy, and then on Thursday night your shoulders are banged up from the workout before and you had 3 hours sleep. It's probably, for an individual, a better way to go about it. As long as you're intelligent enough to know the program and to understand you have to go long and you have to go heavy and short and workouts with rest and target certain energy systems. Yeah, if I was a competitive athlete, that's how I would do it, and that's how Froning did it. That's how
Luke de Jong said he did. He used to watch Froning's videos, and then him and his friends basically did that. They went into the whiteboard in the gym. They were like, anybody sore anywhere? And then they just write something up based around that. And he was like, it's the fittest I've ever been, but it was not sustainable, like long term. Because he was like, we trained on some fucking banged up bodies, like.
Yeah.
Good though. Okay. This is interesting. Would you consider a workout like squat, snatch, or ring muscle up, like involving those movements, I guess, or avoid due to the complexity and alienation of new members? So this is something that kind of half came up the last time. I think I'd be fairly confident in saying that there would be nothing off the table for either of you to program for your members, and that you both fall into the category of program for the best, scale for the rest. Is that accurate?
Correct. Absolutely.
And do you think that that's a common pitfall of affiliates, where they pander or they program for the worst and then offer RX plus or whatever for other people?
I think there's a couple of reasons for it. It's those classes are way harder to program. They're way harder to coach, rather. The hardest thing about coaching CrossFit, bar none, is that you have 20 people in your class, let's say, and they're all mixed ability. You've got the people that want to do competitions. You've got the brand new people that have been with you for 6 weeks or less. Then you've got the people sort of in the middle, 3 to 5 years. They've got a couple of muscle ups, but not enough. Their squat snatch is okay. It's not great. That's the hardest thing, is being able to coach all of these people through an hour and give them exactly what they need to keep progressing. So if you don't program that stuff, if you never program squat snatches and ring muscle ups, and there are people in your gym that joined CrossFit, that joined your gym because they've seen these movements online and they're like, oh, looks awesome, I want to go and learn that. If they go to your gym and you're not doing any of it, it's like, well, hang on, what's going on in here? But it's way harder to coach. So you need to be able to take a beginner athlete and give them something that resembles a muscle up, but will also move them towards doing a muscle up in the future. And then maybe they go to do a squat snatch with a barbell, and you can see that it's way too heavy. So it's like, okay, how do I program, or how do I scale this athlete to still have them snatching while still progressing and feeling like they get a workout? It's a hard thing to do. So you can program it. I would always program it. The hardest thing about that is coaching it. That's the hardest thing, is how do you get all these people in different levels through the workout and feel like they're getting a workout and getting better. So yeah, we do program it. I always program for the best, and then everyone else scales so it feels exactly the same for them as if they were the athletes that it's aimed at. Because if you don't do that, you lose the top people in your gym, and then they go off and they think, oh, I need to go and do other programming because I'm not going to get the high skill stuff or the heavy stuff in a class because it's never programmed. But it's hard to do.
JR, if you program something like that, do you coach it, or are you happy to delegate that, like ring muscle up or whatever, to anyone?
Well, I expect all the coaches to be able to coach the movement, even if maybe they are not proficient at it. Which is very challenging. And I always too, like, let's take me for instance. I've got super tight ankles. I just do. I mean, probably from years of playing basketball, probably from walking on my tiptoes, just genetically. And so if I want to demo a squat, a really mature squat, or let's just say an overhead squat, because it's more technically difficult, I will get the best mover in the class and I will use them. I will use them to demo, to show everyone what it looks like. I don't think that people need to look at a movement not being done well as a way to say, okay, yeah, that's what I need to do. I need to move like that. So like if someone's coaching a class and they're not able to do a ring muscle up, they can do low ring stuff. They can use bands. They can do a jumping variation. But I also want them to be able to talk about an arch position or talk about a hollow position and get someone in the class or someone that's around to say, hey, can I borrow you for a second? All right, everyone watch Zach. Okay, watch how he does this part of the movement. Okay, Zach, jump up and do another one for me. Like that's something that I think a lot of coaches worry about when they're coaching a class, because maybe they aren't the best at doing one of the movements in the class, so it makes them nervous about it. But hey, man, like, notice your own shortcomings. Like, I know mine. Grab someone that moves really well and show them, okay, this is what it should look like. Like, there's nothing to be ashamed of when it comes to things like that. And I think it's no different from a high level skill, like a legless rope climb or anything. Could be anything. Could be a squat, could be a push up, could be a handstand walk, all that kind of stuff.
Or you could do the opposite and say, hey, Peter, come over. Can you? Now, this is why I don't want anybody to do this. This is the opposite of what we want. Would you, this is another thing as well. So you guys both program for your own affiliate. Obviously, there's a lot of offerings out there, proven HWPO, countless offerings of affiliate programming. Would you agree with Joe that affiliate, if it delegates programming to an external source rather than doing the programming themselves, then they do not care for the members properly? Or is that what JR is talking about with know your own shortcomings? Where do you guys fall on that?
I think it needs to be good. And I think Jonny said this earlier. Like, I got into a back and forth one time. Hiller put up a post on Instagram, like a poll, and it came back 51-49. I said, here's a question. Do most people come into the gym to get a good workout or to be coached? That's the question. You have to pick one or the other. It can't be, well, they come in for both. They come in for a great workout and to be coached. No. Tell me, do they come in to get a good workout? Or do they come in to be coached? And it was like 51-49. It was just a thought experiment because, like Jonny said, if the workouts suck, they're not going to come in and you don't get an opportunity to coach them. So to me, you can have the best facility, the best coaching. If the workouts just are not very good or they don't look fun to do, no one cares. They're going to go to another gym that maybe has better programming and not as good of a facility, or maybe not as good at coaching, but they know the workouts are better. So they're just going to go there. Like, I'm of that camp that if you're not passionate about it, and I think listening to like me and Jonny, you can just tell that we are, you can't fake that. And it will show in your product. It will show because you're not as careful with movement pattern redundancy. We did Helen on Monday, and then we did deadlifts, and then we did cleans. Low back, I just feel like we've hinged like every day. It's because it's that attention to detail is just not really there, or the thoughtfulness is not really there, or the knowledge, which I think is fine too. I think it's okay to outsource programming, study it. Hey, why are they doing this? Okay, maybe I should ask JR. Hey, why are you doing why do you do like strongman stuff, but you're more conscious of when you do squats or whatever? And you learn and you hear the feedback, and then eventually maybe you've like learned enough that you can then do it on your own, which I think is a great option too. Some people just don't care. Like, some people, the last thing they want to do is sit down and think of workouts to do for the next week. They know that they could use that time personal training, or they could use that time working on the business in other ways, or contacting businesses for like health and wellness programs. Like, I get all that, but I really think people should not try to do it if they don't want to do it or want to be good at it.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's fine to outsource it if you want to try and learn from people that have been programming for years. But I think you need to learn and understand how to program, because it'll be more effective for the people in your gym and for your space and your equipment and anything else. But the more you understand the program, the better you'll be at running your CrossFit gym. If you understand fitness and how to program, how to get people better, that's better for your gym as your own personal gym. So yeah, outsource it. If you're brand new and maybe you're the only person that owns the gym and does multiple classes and you just don't have time to program, outsourcing can be a good way to take a little bit of pressure off. But once you understand the program better, or you get more time, I would seriously consider running your own program. One of the reasons last summer, I just noticed that people in the gym weren't very good at strict pull-ups and like good strict push-ups. So I said this last week, but we decided to do a general warm-up every month where people would run 400 meters and then do 3 rounds of strict Cindy. So 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, 15 squats. And then you watch over the month, people are getting better at strict pull-ups and push-ups. Then you go, okay, cool. What else? How else could I better use the time of a general warm-up to identify some faults? Okay, well, people struggle with double unders, and crossovers appeared a couple of years ago. Not many people have got those. So now we do that in the general warm-up. If you do your own programming, you'll start to notice that a little bit more, and you'll understand the program better, and it'll only make your gym better. So outsource it at the start, and then learn from it, and then do it yourself. If you went to a restaurant and they went next door to get you food, you'd be like, hang on, why don't I just go next door?
Yeah. I guess that they're going next door to get the recipe, but then they're making it.
Yeah.
With this Brooks question, opinions on strength cycles. We follow Jump Ship. Personally, I love Seth's take on why he doesn't program cycles specifically. That brings me on. You can answer that within this next question. So that is similar kind of to a lot of gyms. Maybe this is just an Irish thing, but a lot of gyms, I remember going to a CrossFit gym once, and it was 5x5 back squats, and then 5 front squats, 5 back squats straight into 3 front squats or something like that. And I remember being like, this is fucking bizarre. This is when I first started CrossFit. And the reason I thought it was bizarre is because the gym I was going to at the time had like classes, but it wasn't like CrossFit. And I think this is quite common here. I don't know how common it is in America. So the morning might be like, metcon. And then the next class after that would be strength and conditioning. And there'd be strength and a workout. And it might be like bench on a Monday, deadlift on a Tuesday, squat on a Wednesday, or whatever. And then there'd be a cardio class. And the cardio would be like a 40-odd minute, hit thing, or else it would be like a rolling, you go through all these different movements or whatever. Almost like a high rocks. And then it would be that way every day. There'd be metcon classes, strength and conditioning classes, and whatever. Since learning more, like that's not CrossFit. I mean, there is variation there, but it's not like if you're going into a class every day and you're doing strength and then doing a workout, and you're doing a cycle starting at, 2 12s, 2 10s, 2 8s, and then the next like 4 weeks later you're doing 8 6s and 4s, and then 4 weeks later you're doing whatever for those 4 weeks. It's no longer varied. Like it's following a very strategic pattern. And then with following on from that and leading into Brooks' question, is that why people don't do cycles? Because it's too prescriptive. It's not like varied enough. It's not, it's not constantly varied if you're following this numerical pattern over the course of 12 months or 8 months or whatever it is.
The goal of CrossFit programming is to be good at everything. So to get stronger, but also improve your flexibility, your balance, coordination, cardiorespiratory endurance. Go short, go long, high reps, low reps. One of the big pitfalls of strength and then metcon every day is where are the workouts that are over 30 minutes long? Because really speaking, if you're going to go strength and then workout every day, that you probably have 20 minutes for the strength and then potentially 20 minutes for the workout by the time you warm people up and get equipment out. So if you're doing that every single day, then you probably aren't doing workouts that go 45 minutes plus. And then Murph comes along or Chad comes along and maybe people fall apart. So that's one of the pitfalls of strength metcon. The argument we always get is everyone needs to get stronger, which I agree with, but also people need to get more cardiorespiratory endurance and more stamina and more flexibility and more power and speed. The best way that we know of to develop all of those things is to do CrossFit, and that's not strength metcon every day. The problem with cycles is, again, we're trying to get better at everything, and we know that doing CrossFit gets you better at everything over a set period of time. Like what's the cycle for? So you start a back squat cycle now to finish and improve your back squat in the middle of March. Like what for? Like what's in the middle of March? Like nothing. If you're doing the sport of CrossFit, that's a little bit different. So if you know that you're going to make it to quarterfinals and one of the biggest things you have to work on is strength, then you could definitely program a linear strength progression to get stronger for a competition coming up, because that's the biggest weakness. But if you're in a general class, just doing general CrossFit, and you're spending loads of time trying to build up your back squat and your deadlift and your press or whatever it may be, that generally means, for most people that have got an hour to train 3 to 5 times a week, if you're spending so much time on these things, then other things must be falling off. And remember, it's a group class. So there are people in my gym that can back squat way over 200 kilos, right? They don't need to do a back squat program. They probably need to run a little bit more. So once you have the general class program, it's like I'm trying to get all of these things to go up together, essentially. And naturally, if your program is varied enough, you will get all of these things. Once you start focusing on spinning 5 plates really well, like look at that, like, oh, well, that plate spinning, there's probably 5 crashing behind you. You're trying to spin 20 plates well at all times. So for a general class, I don't bother with trying to do cycles of strength or this, that, and the other, because what's the general population peaking for at a certain time? If it's a competitive athlete or a competitive program, because we have a competitive program at my gym that's like extra to the class program, then we will do that in cycles, because the Open's coming up, and then some people are going to quarterfinals, and okay, we're in the off season now, so we're going to do more strict gymnastics and more strength. So I think that's fine for people that want to do more CrossFit and they want to compete at a certain level. They want to identify the weaknesses a little bit more. But for the general people that train 3 to 5 times a week, just vary it. We do a. I'm talking a lot now, but we do a hero month in July. We do a hero workout every single day for the month of July. It's the most attended month of the year by about 400, I think, looking at last year's numbers. We don't do any heavy deadlifts. There's no heavy day in any of those hero months, hero workouts. We tested it. I think we tested a CrossFit Total about a week after hero month, and it was like 80% of the gym improved their deadlift. And we didn't do any heavy deadlifting. There was deadlifts in the workout. There was deadlifts. There was kettlebell swings. We say that these natural movements have carryover currency in other movements. So like doing box jumps and kettlebell swings and cleans is going to improve your deadlift. And I've seen it with my own eyes. So we don't generally do. I personally don't do strength cycles in the general population. It's only for competitive people.
What about the argument, JR, that it's done for maybe advertising is too cynical, but like that if you do a test week and you're going to get great content out of it, your members are going to go home saying like, oh, I've fucking PB'd my whatever, you'd hope. And then that would be almost like another little mini Open where there's like kind of free advertising, free word of mouth for that week or whatever. Is there an argument? Do you think that's why gyms do it? Like HWPO do it, Proven do it. They all those big affiliate programming groups do cycles with a test built in, and you know, like a little mini peak and then a test later on. And like Johnny's saying, for most people, it's like, what are you testing for?
Yeah, no, I think it's a slippery slope, because what Jonny said makes perfect sense to me, and it's not something that I personally do. Because over the years, you know, the members, the feedback they've given me is, hey, like I love that maybe some days, some weeks maybe we'll heavy deadlift, and other weeks maybe we'll heavy back squat, and then some weeks maybe we'll just heavy sandbag work, and some weeks, but like I'm missing all those because it's very random, and I'm not getting any of those days in. And so I think sometimes telling everyone, hey, the last time we did heavy cleans, I noticed a lot of people losing their midline. And I think that it's because maybe their upper backs aren't as strong, or maybe their strength in the bottom position just isn't there. And they hit the rock bottom of that heavy front squat and they just crumble. So we're going to do some pause squats every Monday, right? It's still the winter, so we're going to do it after the conditioning. We're going to do a workout. Everyone's going to have a good sweat going. I'm going to make it to where it can't be super, super heavy, because your tempo is going to be whatever, 3 seconds down, 3 seconds in the bottom, explode up, 5 by 5. And the next week we'll do 4. Next week we'll do 3. Next week we'll do 2. The only thing I'm going to tell you is to go heavier than you went the week before. For most people, that's very attainable. It's still subjective. So I don't want to speak for Seth, but I have feeling that he is of the camp of, I'm 40 in a couple weeks. I'm never going to be, my 80% is not going to be what it was when I was 30 or 35, and will probably continue to go down as I get older. Hopefully not, but probably. We're all trying to prevent that from happening. But generally, when you do linear strength progressions, it's based on percentage. I think he and a lot of people use RPE, which I think is great. So, hey, I want you to work up to something that feels, oh, that felt pretty heavy. That's probably a 7. Okay, cool. I want you to do all of your sets between a 7 and an 8. I don't want you to go over 8 because I want you to be moving great. And I don't want you to go under 7 because that's too light for what we're doing here. So I think what people think of when they think of linear progression is, okay, it's 87.2% this week. And then next week is 88.5%. And no, sorry, Johnny, it doesn't matter if you were up all night. It doesn't matter if your kid was sick. It doesn't matter. These are your percentages. Okay, great. Now I just suck. I can't hit my percentages this week. Now what am I going to do? Do I need to try another gym? I'm not getting stronger. JR's telling me to do this. I should be able to do 88%. Now I can't. Like that, I think, is what you get. That's when you get into trouble as a programmer, is you use these linear strength progressions. You're not able to communicate it in a way that makes sense, but in a way that is also very liberating to the athlete. Jonny comes in. He's having a rough week. It's the end of a rough week. He knows, oh man, JR wants me to do heavy singles today. I don't really have that in me. I'm going to do triples instead, and I'm going to lower the percentage. Dude, awesome. Sounds great. I think it's a great move for you to do that. There's no need for you to be working heavy singles if you know you can't put that kind of effort out today. I don't know if a lot of affiliate owners or a lot of coaches give that kind of freedom and wiggle room to their athletes based on the day. But in general, I think subjectivity when lifting is the best. And you shouldn't be tied to a percentage, and you shouldn't be tied to a necessarily a level of effort. So things need to be by feel more so, because you come in one day, Peter, and 225 feels like a 7 out of 10. You come in the next week, it may feel like a 9 because Bodie was throwing up all night, or because it's been a rough training week and we did a 300 air squats on Monday and you're just not recovered from it yet, or you just ran your half marathon the weekend before. So I think that talking around all that, if you're going to do strength progressions, which my members ask for, they really enjoy it. Just knowing like, hey, I know I'm just going to get a heavy load on my legs once a week, right? Where it's not in a fatigue setting, in a metcon setting. I want to do that. Okay, cool. Well, we'll do that, but we can't press heavy, and we can't deadlift heavy, and we can't clean heavy, and we can't snatch heavy. We can't do all that, because look at the pyramid, right? We talk about nutrition when you walk in the door and you ask me, how do I get better at gymnastics, or how do I get abs? And I said, well, you do two things. You can either get stronger or get lighter, and it's a lot easier to get lighter. What are you eating? So metabolic conditioning, then gymnastics, so then being strong with your body weight, then weightlifting. And what I think a lot of times, I have to remind my members all the time, I know you like to lift. It's fun and it doesn't hurt. I know you like to lift. And that's why you will lift in workouts. You'll push a heavy sled. Yesterday we did heavy dumbbell squats. So yeah, that's not a heavy day, and it's not a percentage, and it's not rest 2 minutes in between sets, but you're still getting stronger. You're going to see that the next time we squat heavy, right? You're going to feel like, wow, I don't think we've been focusing on squats, but I feel like my squat is stronger. Oh yeah, because we've been doing a lot of power work, or we've been doing a lot of heavy sled work, a lot of carries, and there's just parts of you that are stronger now than were stronger before.
We're going to rattle through some of these. Ago about maybe like 10 minutes. If you set a time for a workout, a time cap, do you want everybody finishing the workout within the time cap? Assuming that, so JR, you set a workout, Jonny does it, RX, he finishes it under the time cap. I know you like to do goal time and God damn it, Johnny, you like to do goal time and time cap, as in it should take 7 minutes. You're definitely done by 9. Do you want me, if I'm like not finished, are you like, you didn't fucking scale it right, you idiot, you need to scale it better next time, maybe in a nicer way? Or if I'm still reaching the same level of intensity as you would expect me to, if I did finish the workout, is that fine? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very odd, the human psychology, I guess. If I put AMRAP on the board, everyone stops when the clock hits 8, because it was an 8-minute AMRAP, and they did as much work as they could, and they feel good about it. Some of them maybe rested a little too much. Some of them maybe went a little too heavy. Some of them maybe picked a rep scheme on the skill that slowed them down a little too much, but they feel accomplished. If I put a workout on the board and I put time cap 8 minutes, they will inevitably keep going because they have to get all the work in. Like, the work is on the board, I got time cap, doesn't matter, I need to finish it. There isn't this idea of, well, maybe he was right and I should have gone a little bit lighter, or maybe I should have done 1 rope climb instead of 2 every round. For some reason, it's just crazy how the mind works in that way. Likewise, I think AMRAPs are an easy way out a lot of time because they know the clock will save them. So I don't like programming AMRAPs often.
Johnny,
I use the time cap more so as a goal, as a, I gotta finish under the cap, not, oh, well, I know I'm going to finish under the cap. I may not hit the target time, but I know I'm going to finish under the cap. I don't like that mindset. I don't like that mindset of making the time cap so accessible that it takes away from the urgency of the athlete.
Yeah, I get you. But also, you don't want to be like, not a fucking chance I'm getting under that time cap. There's a Goldilocks zone.
Like, yeah, and admittedly, I think I do that more often than not. Like, my coaches do a great job of being like, hey, dude, that time cap was really aggressive. And I'm like, the same 5 to 10 people that finish all the workouts finished it. And they're like, yeah, no, but like, I think sometimes you should just add 3 or 4 minutes so that everyone finishes it. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. I should probably do that, because I am a little bit more on the side of like, the people that do the classes are also the people that are very competitive. So yeah, it's tough for me because I'm like, these people are doing the classes every day. Like, they need to be challenged, but also too, they are very not a typical class goer. But I'm sure Jonny has those and probably feels differently about time caps and stuff like that.
Yeah, Jonny, how do you do? Sorry, go on.
No, go
on. How do you plan around open workouts? Somebody asked that. So they're like, how, you know, obviously you don't know what they're going to be, but is it fair to assume that you kind of have a vague idea of what the time domain is probably going to be, what the movements are probably going to be? You'd probably know burpees are going to be week 1, so do you just not do burpees like pre-Friday, basically? Is that kind of how you do it?
Yeah. The open has changed now since 2020, so there's probably a much smaller window of what the actual workout and movements are going to be. So we just program just general CrossFit Monday, Tuesday. Wednesday for us then is like a heavy day where we just, like yesterday, we did just a bit of a lifting complex and then 30 reps of each of the movements in the complex. Today is just intervals because we don't know what tomorrow is. So today is like row and an echo bike intervals, super low impact. People can come in and get out of breath, work as hard as they want to. And then we'll program the open workout Friday. And then we also program it Monday because we've got like over 200 people in the open. So we need to program it both days. And then it runs full day Friday, full day Saturday, and then Saturday morning open gym after the classes. So we'll program something different, completely separate on a Saturday morning in the classes. And Sunday afternoon is like an endurance class for us anyway. So that's different. But yeah, we basically do like classic CrossFit workouts Monday, Tuesday. Wednesday becomes like heavy. Thursdays, intervals, machines and running. And then Friday is whatever it is.
Do you ever change Saturday? Like, do you ever write the workout and then the open comes out and you're like, oh, bollocks, I have to change everything I have for Saturday now?
Yeah, I'll try and avoid the same movement patterns because a lot of people redo the workouts again on Monday to try and get a bit of a better score. So I try and you know, I'll put a loose workout up based off what I can work out and then change it. Yeah, but generally that's the rule for the way it goes anyway. If I program Monday to Monday, generally Monday, Tuesday stays the same on a regular week. And then by Wednesday or Thursday, I may be putting some more volume in or taking the volume down, but up in the weight and adding a movement in, taking it out. So once it goes down on paper, it always changes in a regular week. Never mind the open.
Yeah, it's like week one, hinging and burpees comes up so often, just that movement combination of different types, that when I wrote out the programming for the week after, I was like, everyone's going to redo this. Everyone's going to redo it either on Sunday or Monday. So this Monday, they did barbell, hang power snatch, hang power clean with like bar muscle up and handstand push up. So they did a lot of pressing, which a lot of burpees and jerks. They did a hang movement because I knew that movement pattern was just going to get beaten to death. So even if you didn't redo the workout by Tuesday or Wednesday, you're probably feeling the same. And if on Friday of this week, it is hinging, which I still think it could be, it's probably from the floor, not from the hang. So like a deadlift or a snatch. And if there's a handstand movement, they did it Monday, so who cares? And like, you know what I mean? So unless they just do thrusters this week, which would still be fine with what we did on Monday, no one's pissed off on Friday, basically, regardless.
Yeah.
But I think that's a skill too, to be able to do that. And if you're not paying attention or you don't really care about open programming, you're not thinking to yourself, okay, what's left? What do we always do? What's probably not going to happen? How's it going to make them feel on Friday if we do something on Wednesday? I don't think that's something people lay in bed and think at night for the most part.
Barbell Spin asks JR, what day of the week should affiliates program heavy Isabel?
Oh gosh.
Have you seen that, Jonny?
If you got people in your gym that can do heavy Isabel, like with a 10-minute cap, that's awesome. Do it. But I think a more reasonable workout would probably be 185, 30 for time, or for most gyms, 135, 30 for time.
Yeah. I don't really understand this question. I hope you do. Program for efficacy or attendance?
So program
that's kind of what
program for results or attendance, both.
That's kind of what you guys were talking about at the start, basically, isn't it? That if you don't have the good workouts, the people won't come.
Yeah. Okay.
So we've kind of covered that. How do I convince my owner that we should do our own program? We've kind of covered that. I mean, it's not really your place to convince the owner, but hopefully the owner comes through. Tell him to watch this show. How far ahead do JR and Jonny program for the affiliates? Week, months, a year? I guess would it be fair to say you do like broad strokes for the year? Like you kind of plan out your year as in, we'll probably all do that competition. We'll probably all do that competition. The open is here, etc., etc. And then you break it down. Like sounds like Jonny does thematically across months, but do you just do week to week, JR?
Yeah, just do week to week.
So you don't know what you're doing in 2 weeks' time at all? Like no clue.
No, I know that like they'll do those pause squats on Mondays and they'll heavy deadlift on Fridays, but no, like I know there are things throughout the year, right? There's Murph in May. There's the Open in February, March. There is around Thanksgiving and Christmas, the programming gets a little different because I know how infrequent some people like to come into the gym. So I try to really kind of persuade them into the gym as much as I can, as far as like what Jonny said, to like make the workouts look more fun and not as just like, oh man, this is going to hurt so bad. Like those kind of workouts, just because I know that motivation can sometimes be a little bit lower. But no, I am very much like week to week. I do my programming and I really need to like know how it feels leading in and just be like, you know what? Those heavy dumbbell squats crushed everybody. In the next couple of weeks, I need to work those back in instead of doing like wall balls or barbell front squats or whatever. We need to revisit that because like Jonny said about the noticing that people were just terrible at pull-ups and push-ups. Like when you see that as a gym owner, you shouldn't ignore it because if you're seeing it for a reason.
Mm-hmm. Opinion on heavy days, we covered that. From a member's point, oh man, this one runs out halfway through the sentence. From a member's point of view, how to encourage owner to enhance open gym area to attract? I mean, the next word could be rats. It could be new members. It could be anything.
I'm guessing
I think
more open gym.
Yeah, like how to make it more attractive. Do they mean I don't really know. Are they talking about like in a JR scenario or like a crash scenario where there's a separate room almost? Or I don't really know. Do you know what? We'll come back to that next time because I want to talk about like gym layout and stuff. Okay. I kind of think that's it for now anyway, mainly because I have to go and collect my son. We're going to come back in, I say 2 weeks. It'll probably be next week because I'll probably get impatient and want to do more. If anybody watching has a theme that they want us to do, so we've done kind of general, we've done programming, we're going to do, we'll go through all the different bits like nutrition, all that kind of different stuff. How to, like, I kind of thought that was very interesting on the level 2, like how to get a nutrition thing going in your gym and how to keep it going and all that kind of stuff. I thought that was interesting. And then if anybody has anything that they want us to talk about, just send something over. Let's see if something in the comments. Hey, my question. Yeah, I already asked that question about. I actually can't remember what question it was. The second last question I asked. Let's see. Still gone. Would you kick Laura out of your affiliate because she didn't sign up for the open? My God, it's like a dog with a bone, that guy or girl. Johnny mentioned quarterfinals. Where they get the time machine to go back to quarterfinals. Can't say anything, Johnny. People will just catch up on you. If I hit RPE 10 on Sunday and Monday for open workout, the chance are you didn't hit 10 on Sunday and Monday for the open workout, and I know I will be at RPE again, 10 again today or Friday, or because this week, does that mean that the days in the middle need to be much less intense?
Depends how you feel. Go by feel, my friend. You can't be at 10 RPM every single day. You're not supposed
RPE,
to be
maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Our gym would do Wendler cycle at least once a year. Cool. Topic: dealing with existing member injuries and niggas stop them wasting money on physios and never coming back. Okay, yeah. Well, we can dive into that maybe and something else. All right. Have a look at Anya if you're an affiliate owner. If you want to ask any questions about it, DM me. I'll put you in touch with the guy. If you sign up and say that you signed up through this show, I don't get anything extra, but you get a free sample, which Johnny is getting now. Thanks, JR. Thanks, Johnny. Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Good luck and God bless and everything else.